This is our second example of skill 3, factoring or multiplying. Again, we're going to be factoring, and our first step of factoring is to take out the greatest common factor if there is one. We're going to look at the 2 and that little 1 and the 3, and there's only a number 1 that divides into all three of those. This first term has an x squared, the middle one has an x, the last term doesn't. So it doesn't have anything in common. If it's factorable, what you're going to do is you're going to make your x, you're going to take your first term times your last term. We want two numbers that multiply to be that 2 times negative 3, which is negative 6, but add to your middle term, which is that little invisible negative 1. In your mind or on your paper, you're going to write all the factors of negative 6. You can get that by doing negative 1 times positive 6 or positive 1 times negative 6. Negative 2 times positive 3 or positive 2 times negative 3. It's negative 3 times 2. Whoop, there it is. You repeated, so you know that if we have something that's going to work, it's going to be one of those 4 choices. It appears as though that's our winning combination. When you add positive 2 and negative 3, we end up with that negative 1. Now that 2 and that negative 3 can go in either order. It doesn't matter. We call this X box. We've X'd and now we're going to box. We're going to put the first thing in the first box. First thing in the first box. So you put the last thing in the last box. And then you put your magic numbers, the ones that you carefully selected, in your 2 side boxes along with your middle letter. Because remember, they need to add together to be negative 1x. This is how, this may be a little different than your teacher taught you, but this is how I teach it. I have kids look across the top and you take out the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is a 2 and an x. And 2x times 1x gives us that 2x squared. And 2x times positive 1 gets me my positive 2x. Be sure that you put the positive sign down. Okay? Then I have them take a look across the bottom. Okay? You always take out that first sign. And now you take out the common factor. Remember that your 2 factors live at the top and the sides of the box. And so our first factor is x plus 1, and our second factor is 2x minus 3. And factoring connects them with multiplication. If you would prefer, instead of boxing it to group, you can do that. It's the same thing, but instead of writing it in a box, you're just going to write it out in a straight line. So we have our 2x squared, and our positive 2x, and our negative 3x, and those numbers came right here. And then our negative 3. You're going to group up the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. You're going to take out the greatest common factor, which is a 2 and an x. A 2x times x makes our 2x squared. A 2x times the positive 1 gives us positive 2x. When you look at the last pair, you take out the first sign and its common factor. Negative 3 times x gives us negative 3x, and negative 3 times positive 1 gives you your negative 3. Your factors match. They each have a factor of x plus 1. We're going to factor it out one time, and your leftovers, the 2x minus the 3, go in the other factor.